And there you have it.
Okay.
Episode 1 of many to the Alkalign Lifestyle podcast. I'm excited.
1.
Episode 1.
Yeah, it's supposed to be like 6 months ago or something, but it's okay.
We did it. We're here.
Yeah.
Okay. But I feel like we have a lot to speak on because our topic for today is on relationships. And that was a big thing that we had to overcome together.
Mm-hmm.
And that was honestly a huge part of our delay.
Yeah. Well, I don't call it a delay. I'm a big person. I'm a big believer in perfect timing. It doesn't have to be my time. So, but I do believe perfect timing means I'm ready to receive the thing I'm supposed to be doing. It may have came to me 5 years prior, or, months prior, but I wasn't ready to do the thing. So obviously it was not perfect timing. So I had to figure out what the timing was. If that makes sense. Does that make sense?
It makes sense.
Okay, yeah.
Everything happens when it's supposed to happen.
When it's supposed to happen, yeah, correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, nothing happens just because it happens. Everything happens because of a cause. So obviously we caused ourselves to be here. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. Okay.
All right, so this is going to be a fun one.
Yeah.
I'm excited about it, and I think our viewers are going to be excited about it too.
Yeah.
Because this has been a pressing topic. It's been a really hot topic lately on social media.
Yeah.
And I think really it has birthed out of COVID happening, because you know what I noticed was that so many divorces were happening since COVID, and it was because that people who, like couples who weren't seeing each other regularly, now were like confined to a space together, and then they realized how much they had grown apart, and then their idea is, ooh, we have to go separate ways.
Okay, you can talk about athletes because for the most part, any professional athlete, as people probably don't know, as far as my background, I was an aspiring professional athlete. I wanted to make it to the NBA. So I was training all up and down for like the last, 8 years or so, 2015 to about 20, I don't know. I would say for like probably about 2011, I started really getting into it. But as far as relationships goes, and you're trying to do something like be an athlete, it's kind of impossible because you just can't really do it, because you can't really have a focus on your family and your craft unless you have a loyal, like a harmonious relationship. If you have that, then you can do it. But if you don't have that and you're forced to, to be confined to a space, because now COVID stopped everybody from going to play and, traveling with each other and things like that. So now all of a sudden you were at home with somebody you probably never saw. You probably never really spent time with them, and then you realize you don't have anything in common. So now it's like, okay, maybe this person was pretty, or this person was beautiful, this person was handsome, whatever it was, but now you lost the actual magnetism because you realize you didn't have it in the first place.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. I'm just stating it in that way.
Yeah, I never thought of that. And it's so interesting of the timing, because we got married like a year before
2019,
COVID, and the majority of our relationship was on and off long distance. So we didn't really get to know each other until, honestly, I would say just before COVID happened, and then so that was an interesting ride. And that you mentioned the point of like harmonious or harmony in relationships. So the overall topic that we're going to dive into of relationships, or what are the issues and main causes of disharmony in relationships?
Okay.
What do you think?
The main cause of disharmony is the roles. No one knows what their roles are in the relationship. That's what I think. And I think it's driven too much by the outside. So your dynamic may not be the same as somebody else's dynamic. As long as it has harmony for you, then you should be able to live with it. So somebody may have a housewife or a house husband, right? And a CEO wife or a CEO husband, or, but as long as it works and the dynamic works for you and you have an understanding of the rules and you're transparent and you're honest and you're authentic and you're doing what y'all do, I don't think anybody's have a problem with it. But people have so many issues because society has these roles made out. And I also think it comes from when you're growing up. Like if you grew up a certain way and you saw people in roles or in a certain way of being in a relationship, mom and dad, aunt and uncle or something like that, you tend to download that information and try to copy that in your adult life. And I don't think that's right either, because you're just going to make yourself a copy of those people. That's not necessarily what your purpose is here to do. You may have to, if that makes sense to you.
Yeah. Do you think that you ever found yourself copying either of your parents?
Yeah. I mean,
in terms of a partnership or marriage, like that specifically.
When I was growing up, I never really saw, first off, because I didn't live with my mom and dad until age 4.5 years old. So I really didn't see how it worked out between them, like the entire time. I just remember that, my father was a certain way. He's West African. He's from Nigeria. My mom is Creole. She's from Louisiana. They have two different ways of being. And I think it was when I started to see it, I saw the inharmonious part a lot. So, I started to copy it a little bit, but I began to pull myself back because I thought it was mistreatment. Because my father, it's my father, so I'm not saying he's a bad man. I'm just saying the way he believes things and how he carries himself, especially in terms of women relationships, it's just not how I see myself doing it. So, I believe I started to go on that behavior, and I just started to say, no, I don't like that. It's not really with me, and my mom is a little bit different, where she has to keep learning. Her spouse has to teach her something, or she gets disinterested really quickly and she leaves. And she'll say, I'm leaving. If you don't, it's almost like if you don't get smarter, like it's like you can't do that either. Like, she's a teacher, so but it's like you can't just do that. Like you have to go into it with some sort of commonality. And I didn't really see that at all from my parents, really, in that way. I'm not sure why they were together, like what drew them in, because all I saw was a lot of inharmonious behavior. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Same with
mine. I definitely found myself emulating each of my parents, and I would say, definitely my mom, just because female and female, like female is likely to mirror female. And I saw, I didn't really see my parents get into like arguments per se. They did like occasionally. It was very rare that they would actually argue in front of us. But they had roles. Like my dad was the provider and he was the head of the household, and it was really kind of like his way, and he had the ultimate decision and everything. And my mom was kind of more like, bow down to him. Not as like a peasant or like a servant in the way that people think of it, but it was, she yielded to him.
She had a respect. I can see that. But because now the way that you're saying it, that makes 100% like sense. Like most women, and again, you're talking about yielding, somebody gonna have a problem because they're gonna start being, come at you really crazy. They're gonna say, surrendering to anything is like the most awful thing you can do in your life, which is not true. I think it's actually a blessing to be able to do something like that, to know that you can do that. But I believe you have to have a trust factor within yourself to be able to do that for somebody else. I don't think you can just go do that. I think you have to be able to have a certain level of respect and admiration for yourself. And that comes from a spiritual place. I don't think you can just do that. I think you have to know, like the higher mind self before you can go in to do that. My mom didn't really, it wasn't everything that my father says. On the contrary, when it came to education, he was like, whatever your mom say. So wherever we go to school, my mom. Whatever I like, my schedule, my mom. It was just everything had to do with if I'm learning or growing, it's my mom. He had no input in any of that. I didn't really see him, till late evening every day. So she was probably the person that did all of the instruction that came from my sister and I, my older sister and I. So yeah. Mm-hmm.
So then, who do you think the leader in the relationship and the family should be or are?
Well, I guess it got another controversial topic because I don't believe it should be either the man or the woman. I believe the leader should be the creator. So I believe it has to be a godly perspective that leads both of us. But if you want to see who's the person that should take the teaching, I believe it still has to be the man. But if he's not under a godly influence or a divine influence, he can't get nobody to follow him anyway.
Yeah.
Because no one's going to follow his leadership if he's not in a divine space. Did that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense. And I didn't actually experience that until being in a relationship with you. And I would say it was after we got married that that became like a thing. Mm-hmm. I never considered it.
Yeah.
I didn't have this really tangible relationship with a higher power for a long time.
Okay.
Fidelis and I were both raised Catholic, but I when I was 18, I completely just broke up with any idea of having a relationship with for sure religion. I decided I was going to be atheist. And I think honestly it led me down a path of self-discovery, but also a lot of confusion. And I had friends who were part of churches. My brother, when he went off to college, my younger brother, when he went off to college, he started to join the church, and that's where he found meaning and purpose in life. And my family was never religious. My mom loved going to church, and she wanted us all to be a part of the church. My dad never gave his opinion about church or any kind of direction about that, or just spirituality or religion, all in kind of the same nutshell. But it was very confusing for me. But I knew from a young age, from a really young age, that there was something bigger than me. And I think all kids have that kind of connection. We have a divine spiritual connection.
Yeah.
But I think as we get older, we start to lose that a lot because we get wrapped up into society. And I think a big piece that's missing in the relationship with self, which mirrors or reflects into the relationship with a partner or anybody, is some sort of spiritual connection.
Yeah.
And yielding to that. I had a really hard time for the majority of our relationship, but that was never even at the forefront of any partnership I ever had before.
Yeah. I think it makes it easy. I grew up Catholic. I was an usher in the church, so I went every Sunday. My father's Fidelis the First, and he taught me it. I think it more so instilled discipline within me. It wasn't to where I was so afraid of these things. I think the only thing I don't miss anything about Catholicism at all. I think there's traits that every religion has, but I look at religion as the word habits. Habits can be my religion. My religion can be the company I work for, or the sport that I play, or the job that I do. That can be my religion. So I look at it from the only thing I remember that really helped me or freed me was just confessions. But I realized I can do it at any time, so I don't need to go to a booth in a dark place with somebody on the opposite side. I can just do it at any time and confess anything at any time. I don't have to act like I have to do this process in this way in order for it to be activated within the field. Like that, when I saw that as freedom, I just stopped really believing in I have to do it this way. That's what got me. It didn't take me away from knowing who God is. It just said there's more to it than that. And I believed I started to find it within me. I already knew it was within me the entire time. I just had to know, like just how to get there or free myself from the rest of the distraction that was around me. And I can take that. So if someone saying, well, who's the leader? Well, everyone should know that there's something that's navigating their way to a higher point in life. And so if my partner doesn't know that, it's only because she doesn't know who's leading. She doesn't have a relationship with that entity herself. So all I have to do then is to get her to go to it. I don't have to do anything except get her to go to it. That is I believe that's all in a relationship. If it's the man's job, somebody got to take the role on. That's somebody has to do it.
Somebody's got to drive this ship.
Somebody got to go in and say, listen, look, like we need to do this, and we need to talk to this being, and we need to get connected with this energy because it's within us. Somebody got to do it. If I don't know it, my partner should know it. If she don't know it, I should know it. Because it can't be I'm the man, you're the woman, go to the kitchen, cook the food, that sort of thing. Well, you're the man, go make the money and build the systems and have the business. And I look at it as co-piloting, not a passenger in a ship. If I have a ship or a plane with my family on it, I mean, my kids is in the back, I can have my dogs, they in the back too, because they're not driving the ship, but I got a co-pilot, right? Like I have like a navigator with me. Yeah. And that means if something happens to me, she can navigate the way to safety. Yeah. It's not, she's a passenger too. I think there's too many relationships where everybody's in the back seat and the man is driving everything and all the women's driving everything and everybody else is inside the back seat. There's no co-piloting. And you have to have a co-pilot because I have masculine and feminine within me.
Yeah, we all do.
Yeah, right. So you can't just say, okay, well the man, it's the man's job. So as far as the leading role, I think you have to say it's God. You gotta say it's the creator, whatever you want to call it. I call it God, but you gotta say it's God, and you gotta say that that's first and over everything because then I'm doing the right thing. I'm living right. So my family's gonna be living right if I do it like that.
Yeah. Do you think that's like the main thing that is missing in a harmonious relationship?
Yeah, 100%. Is understanding what God is, who God is, because you'll see people and they'll say that they're connected to it, but they still got these bad ways of being. So if you still have a bad way of being or bad habits, you're obviously not connected in full. You may know who it is, but it ain't being expressed within you. Yeah. So, I think that's 100%. They have not made the decision to cut themselves off from not being that entity. And that's what's keeping people in like a disarray.
Yeah, that makes so much sense because I remember for a very long time, I felt so attached to my family, particularly my parents. Mm-hmm. And it was very hard for me to fully lean into you as my partner in our relationship. But I think it didn't even matter who it was. I think I was just like, I didn't have that compass activated. Mm-hmm. And so like, I was really afraid to fully and I asked the question to myself so many times, like I would see in couples where it was like they just had this direction, we are not cut off from the family, like our blood relatives, but like this is our family now. Yeah. And for a long time it was really hard for me to like break away from the family that I was raised in and really believe that I had like my own family. Okay. Yeah. Like now I would say like now it's completely different for me. Like I'm I'm not sure exactly what changed, but I definitely feel like this is my family now. You know, like I don't feel like I can't make a decision without the input of my parents.
Yeah.
Right? And that's how I used to feel.
All right. Well, okay. Well, that's how she used to feel. Okay. So, I never had the input, which I think is a blessing to me. Not to. I'm not saying to everybody. I'm not saying I didn't have the love of both of my parents, because I did. I just didn't have it the way most people have it, if that makes sense. Like I didn't have it like that. Like I wasn't from 1, 2, 3, 4 years old. I mean, no, it wasn't like that. When I finally met my father, he was pretty scary. Yeah. Even though he's not even really a large man. He's like 5'7", or I think he's like 5'9". I think. Nah, he's probably like 5'8.5". Mm-hmm. He's not really very large. He's not even big. I mean, I'm bigger than all of them. I'm 6'2", 190. So, you know, when I look at him now, but that's now. When I was like yay high, real small, I'm looking at him and his voice carried, and he just scared me a lot. You know, he just scared me a lot. Like, I'm just being real. Like he was just a person. He had his own way of being, and yeah, you know. Now that I look at it now, I had the freedom to do what I wanted to do because I didn't know I was under anybody. You know, I've always thought of myself as I'm under the creator. When my mom gave me the lanyards and stuff with the WWJD, but my nickname is Junior, so I just thought it was me. I thought everybody was talking to me. It didn't say what would God do. It said the WWJ. So I thought she got like personalized for me. So I'm like, okay, well, what would I do? Okay, I'm gonna ask myself, what do I do? Who am I asking? I'm pretty sure there's a higher self within me. So I got that teaching a long time ago. Just ask myself, and it worked. And if it works, like I'm like, okay, cool. So I don't let anybody affirm me. So I never had to go to my parents to say, hey, is this okay? Is this a good idea? Yeah. Like, y'all don't know. Hey, I'm gonna ask me. I got the lanyard right here. Like it told me, to ask me. Yeah. Like what would I do? Y'all should probably ask me too. Mm. Look, it's right here. That's why I used to tell my mom. Like it's right here.
I was pretty coddled.
Oh yeah, no. They was like, look, you gonna go anyway. So yeah, but that's okay. I don't think that's a bad thing. I don't think I think people should look down upon themselves I just think many times parents, they do kind of mess their kids up a little bit. They don't let them compete or, just do things and just be the best that they can be. Mm-hmm. They said, let me get it type of thing. Yeah. But I was the person that argued, like, no, don't touch it. Let me get it. Oh. You go stand on the side and wait till I'm done type of thing. And I thought that was, in this day, I think that's a problem too. And that's why people grow up in relationships and they don't have a backbone, or they don't have any barriers or any. Is it boundaries? Is a good word, or is it barriers?
Boundaries.
Boundaries. That's a good word. Yeah, because they never had it. They never had it growing up.
Yeah, I totally resonate with that. Yeah, I sucked at boundaries. I didn't have good ones, and and this is a good segue into discussing like how important the roles parents play in relationships. Yeah. Because for me, I did not have good boundaries just in my relationship with my parents, but then I didn't set good boundaries or healthy boundaries between my parents and my relationship. It was like I let that influence my relationship and the decisions that I made, and even how transparent I was about and open I was about my relationship. Yeah. And that was all of them. Yeah. But like you even experienced that, I know. Yeah. And I see marriages or couples who are together, and it's like at least one often seems to have their parents' hands in the pie of the relationship. Yeah. And I think I think it's important to have a healthy like dynamic, but I think it is so detrimental to a relationship to allow the parents of either party to be involved in the relationship, if that makes sense.
Yeah, you don't need to have that. I think people get married and they marry the family instead of the person, and that's not it. Because I'm not marrying the family. I mean, no offense to your family. I'm sure they're great. I've met them. They're wonderful, but I don't care for them the way I care for the person, which is you. I don't care for them or their ways or their virtues or their values or their morals. I could care less what they think or believe. I only signed up to be with this person. I know it's pretty much impossible subconsciously because you get programmed from 0 to 7 by the people you're around, right? So if you're around the family, you're going to be a copy of the family. But the person on the opposite side does not know that, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So, I've never actually I've been to your parents' home before. I've never stayed there. You got to come for a few months and live at my mom's house.
Yeah.
So you got to go through the scrapbook and all that. You got to go and check everything that I had and everything about me, and you got to see a high energy place because my mom is 5'2", and she's probably gonna see this podcast. She's gonna be like, "I'm 5'3". You're 5'2", Mom.
You think she's 5'2"?
She's 5'2". Because
I'm 5'3.5".
No, she's 5'2". I'm telling you, she's 5'2".
I think she's 5'3".
She's been 5'2" since I've known her I'm 41. So for that long, she's 5'2". But we'll get to that at another time. But yes, she's a high energy person, a high vibrational person. So when I go to my mom's home, I know that I'm going to feel this high vibrational, openness and gratitude. It doesn't matter who I bring home. She doesn't have any judgment to it. They can be purple, It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who, as long as the person has an open heart and they got love. So you have love all over the house because she only knows that everything goes based upon love. So I think most people don't. Oh, okay. I'll edit. But I think people just don't look at. They don't look at the family drives their decision making, and that's not right because you don't love the person enough to say, I stand up for what I believe in and I stand for us. I don't think that's a surefire way to break and leave.
Yeah.
As soon as possible.
Totally. And then when you add in interracial.
Oh yeah.
The interracial aspects of relationships and cultural differences.
Yeah.
God, it makes such a huge difference. I remember when I was younger and, I had a best friend in college who, you remember Heidi, and she was very, culturally diverse. I mean, she's, half Caucasian and half, European and then Mexican. And she was just a very culturally expansive person. She did not want to date anybody from America. She was just so adverse to it. And I remember thinking because I got to meet her friends because she was involved in all these different cultural groups.
Yeah.
And, I really wanted to learn about other cultures. I really enjoyed that. I loved learning different languages and being able to connect with people. But I realized a really big challenge for me would have been the cultural differences. And I'm not saying per se based off of race, but I do see that is a big challenge in relationships. But I'm saying just in how people think, what their lifestyles are, what they eat, how they perceive relationships and dynamics should be.
Yeah.
Just worldviews.
Yeah.
Spiritual views or religious views.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't know. I don't know if I could marry somebody from, or even date somebody from another country or, but I was very close-minded at that time too.
Yeah.
But it definitely takes a lot of understanding and learning. And you brought that up a lot in our relationship because you were like I thought, being this white girl from the Midwest, I thought I knew what I knew about African Americans and history. And the history, not just of African Americans, but the history between African Americans and Caucasians and Caucasians and other ethnicities. But I learned from you how much I didn't know. And that was huge. Your mom, and I remember your mom having that conversation, or bringing it up to you and bringing it up to me. Like, there's a lot to unpack. And I didn't realize how much of a responsibility it is for me to understand. And I value you as a history teacher. But I don't think that there's a lot of relationships that are willing to have that dialogue.
I think that's when the relationship stops then, because you have to have a transparency. You know, you came from the Midwest and probably lived in the Southwest. I'm from the South. They ain't Southwest. I'm from the South. I'm from the original South. I'm born in Louisiana. So clearly I'm on the opposite side. So what, you got to live in, you went from the Southwest in Arizona to the South. You got to go to Florida. It's not like that. You remember when we drove to go, we were going to go vote, I think. And we're driving, we're trying to find this voting booth. And we're driving all the way out. Man, it was out. I just know we were out.
It was uncomfortable for me.
Yeah, and there's Confederate everywhere. And then you saw the cannon. They have a cannon, like a museum with it's like a plantation on one side. They got a cannon on the opposite side with the Confederate flag flying on the side. It's just like mid-afternoon, and I'm like, listen, okay, like we're good, but
I had my defensive attitude up. I was like, look, don't play. I am here to vote. Don't touch him. Don't harm him. I was like so protective of you.
I was fine for all those. I was fine.
It was really uncomfortable. Like, you could feel the energy in the air. And even driving between Florida and Georgia. His family, his mom and sister live in Georgia, and we would drive back and forth to visit, and just even that drive was so uncomfortable. And yeah, it is crazy, like, to think that decades ago it would have been illegal for us to be married. And I see, like, here living in LA, like, there's such your mom said not to call it a melting pot. His mom, being a teacher, told me not to call it a melting pot, but like a salad. Because there's so many different components to the salad, so many ingredients.
That's right. Oh, we have an interlude. We have pit bulls in here. This is Onyx. Say hi, Onyx. You're on camera.
You're on camera. You guys need to go back to sleep.
Okay, but go back to sleep. We're almost done. Go ahead. But let's get back to it. So, as far as that goes, yes, I believe people don't have the fearlessness to be able to be honest, and also call out their heritage. Because I remember I called out your heritage, and I said, no, your heritage is completely racist, people.
Totally. And you know what's so crazy is, so I feel like I've gone pretty deep into detoxification and cleansing and purifying myself through your aid. A big part of that was through your aid and your herbs that you had me taking during my detox journey.
Matter of fact, I do have them. I'll display them right here. People can see what she's talking about.
So Fidelis created these 2 herbal formulas, and this was like the full, and I'm so, like, I remember, like, I came up with the names because of what they did. And
that's true.
The backstory is you had this intuitive download, like, I need to research these herbs. I don't understand why. But can you tell a story about your formulas, Awaken and Replenish? And I'll talk about my detox journey and how this has to do with relationships and ancestral shit.
Yeah.
And how that all ties together.
So 2021 September, actually I think it was late August, I just kept getting this, hey, you don't know the answer. I need to know the answer. And I was like, what answer? I don't need to know nothing. I'm fine. And it'd be like 1 o'clock in the morning. And to have this urge to go stay up and just I would be on YouTube just looking at videos. I'd be watching Dr. CB. I'd be watching Dr. Robert Morris and just old school things like Dr. Lalela Africa, I think it was his name. And I just started watching all these people. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, who is sick? Because I'm not sick. I'm looking at my skin. I'm like, my skin is gone. I feel fine. Like, I'm strong. Like okay. But somebody's talking to me, telling me to go find these answers. So I'll say it was about 3 weeks. And I would be up till about 5 o'clock in the morning every night, just reading and watching something. And I would meditate a lot longer. I used to meditate for only about an hour. I would start going in for about 2 hours or 2.5 hours. And I would just keep on meditating on these, like what's coming to me. And finally it was like, okay, cells, my cells are sick. And I don't know who was saying it, but I'm assuming it was you. Because
very likely.
So all of a sudden I go order all these dry herbal supplements. And it's all dry. I was like, okay, I gotta find the plant-based version of all these things. And I'm like, I need to find something alkalizing because someone's energy is low. Like there's no energy. And I'm just going in, finding these things, and I'm putting them together. The issue was I couldn't find all of them in dry and all of them in liquid. So the majority, the first time we did it was mostly dry. And then we had like 2 or 3 bottles that were liquid. But
yeah, so you're seeing like capsule and tincture.
Exactly, capsule and tincture. And
understanding.
We weren't in the best place at the time. We weren't actually really good at all. But I was still there.
Like, yeah, we were there, but not there.
Yeah, we weren't there. There was no being present with each other. Yeah. And so finally, I remember I'm like, okay, hey. Let's try this. Just try this. I don't know why. Just try this. And you were like, at first it was like, okay, like what's all this extra stuff for that I got to do now? I'm like, just try it. Like I don't know what. I don't know. It just told me to give it to you.
Yeah, and at this time, if you remember, I had just had my eyebrows microbladed.
Yeah.
And the technician, she had this questionnaire, this health questionnaire, and one of the questions on there asked about your history of herpes, and I marked no. And for the record, and this is such a common thing, that now that I understand health and have no judgments around it, but I was very insecure about it, but I did have a history of herpes. Now my family, almost everyone has had cold sores. I never had facial cold sores around like your mouth where people get facial cold sores. I had it in the complete opposite end of my body. And I was very embarrassed by it. So I answered no on this questionnaire. I was so stressed out at this appointment, but I was so excited to have my eyebrows done, but I was so stressed out. I was very anxious because I wanted it to turn out. I wanted my eyebrows to be perfect, and I had this perfection issue. The stress, the physical stress, and then the emotional stress caused me to have this massive, full-blown facial herpes outbreak, aka a facial cold sore. And it was all in my eyes, around my eyes, all in my eyebrows, around my eyebrows. It was so embarrassing to walk around. And I also had my first fitness show that I was procrastinating on training for. And that's when you started researching the herbs, and then you had me start taking them. Yeah. And I remember that. It was a lot. I'm so glad that you have the formula you have now, because it was like going through
20 pills a day.
Oh god,
It's about 20 pills. You
pills
take
and
two of
tinctures,
these, and
and then some of them you had to take like you could only take like once a day, or some 3 times a day, or 2 times a day. It was just so I'm glad like you refined it, but it was so transformative in my healing. Like it was rapid healing. As soon as I started just this part of my process, by week 4, my face had completely healed up, and it was literally the night before my fitness show that I was supposed to go out on stage and do my thing. Did I, sounds gross, but peeled off the last scab of my cold sore, of my scabbing. So it was just like, and I didn't have any reaction the next day. I thought I would with makeup on, because when you're on stage you have a ton of makeup on and false lashes, and I had no issue. And I had no issue after the touch up. And then shortly after the touch up, if you remember, we had been out running errands. I bought a new knife set. It was like those ceramic knives that are super sharp.
Yeah, I remember.
And I was trying to figure out how to open it in this plastic packaging. And I didn't realize that there was an opening at the bottom, so you could just slide it off the knife. I thought I had to like pierce the knife through through the package, and I sliced my finger down to the bone. And I remember feeling it.
Yep.
My whole world stopped. I was like, oh shit. I don't have health insurance. And I haven't believed in having health insurance for years, but I haven't had the need for it. But I was like, oh shit, this would be one of those times, because I'm thinking I am going to need to get stitches.
Yeah.
Because I literally felt it like cut into my bone. It was disgusting. I was bleeding profusely. And you were like, wrap that in a towel. I'm taking you to the emergency room. And I started to feel lightheaded. And I was like, no, I'm okay. I'm okay. And you were like, no, we need to go now.
Yeah.
So you took me to an urgent care in Woodland Hills, where they do Botox, which was so weird to me. I've never been to an urgent care where they do Botox, but when in Rome, right? And so you took me, and we were in the waiting room, and he was filling out my paperwork. And I remember
you couldn't write.
I couldn't write because I'm holding my finger together. And I remember taking a peek at it. Something told me to check on it while you were filling out the paperwork. And I removed the kitchen towel I had wrapped around it, and my finger was starting to seal. And it had stopped bleeding. And I was like, what the hell?
I remember that.
And I showed you, and you were like, oh my god. And you asked me, what do you want to do? Do you want to go see the doctor, or what do you want to do? I was like, I want to see if this lifestyle that we've been living actually works, because I've always believed in the innate healing powers that we possess. So what my detoxing did was help me to, it actually showed me and helped me, it showed me what my ancestral racism was. And it really woke me up to what I was bringing into the relationship between you and me. And like I remember you pointed out so many times, like, you come from racism. You have ancestral racism in your DNA. And I really didn't believe it until it showed me that. And then the other thing that what detoxing did for me was to help me to uncover my attitude towards you. And how I was mistreating you and taking you for granted, and the things that you've done for me. I wasn't, I just wasn't even appreciative of you. But I was also not forgiving of myself for things that I've done to you. And, we went through a really, really rocky time where after kind of I I don't think anything is either big or small, but in the relative to other things that we've been through, I think this was a pretty big one.
Sure.
Pretty distinct situation that happened where we were originally, like, when we first started out in business,
funding.
Yeah.
And first of all, I'm gonna give you guys a tip in business. Just do it the biggest way. Don't try to fit yourself into anything small, because that's what I did. And raising capital for projects and things like that, go bigger. Just go bigger, because the bigger and this is just my opinion, but the bigger that you got to go, the better the people are at the top.
Yeah.
And that was my mistake. I took accountability for that because I believed in the bigger way, and then I got feared into the smaller way, and then all of a sudden I met. Plus, it's during COVID, I believe, so it was just.
It's during COVID.
You met with a lot of fraudsters and scammers, people who aren't really. They're just not real in what they say, and I wasn't following my intuition at the time. I should have just went bigger, and I would have been fine. But
yeah. So basically, we ended up with Homeland Security knocking on our door at like 3 or 4 in the morning, and kind of turned our worlds upside down for a while. And then inevitably, we ended up, living in our car for a while.
Yeah.
And there were a couple times that I left because things got so hard, and I went back to my parents to live. And I had to go through my own inner struggles.
Mm-hmm.
And it was really hard. I remember the day that I think it was approaching my birthday.
It was, yeah.
It was, I think, the day before my birthday.
Something like that, yeah.
Or 2 days before my birthday.
2 days.
And I just quit. I was like, I can't do this anymore. I'm done. I hated you for your leadership. And I could not surrender myself to you. I didn't believe in you. I didn't trust you. I didn't want anything to do with you. I hated everything that we were going through. But most importantly, I hated how weak I was.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize what my weaknesses were as a woman, as just a person, as an entrepreneur. And we had our dogs living with us in the situation, and I was just so angry at myself for what I was doing to myself.
I always tell people not to hold judgments or regrets, because say you pray to God about something, and you're like, oh God, I'm so grateful for this newfound patience or something like that, or this newfound unconditional love and gratitude that I have for life or whatever. Like, you're asking for something, but I believe the only way that the Creator can give you what you ask for is to put you in a position we have to now express that outward. And most people don't want to do that.
Yeah.
But you asked for it,
mm-hmm.
but you weren't surrendering to how it was to come to you.
Yeah.
And I just believe if I ask for it, it's got to come to me. However it comes to me, I don't have any input on that. I only have the input on what's coming to me, and it's going to be the end result. But I have to go through a trial or something that gets me the end result. So I don't have any resentment or judgment towards the things that I have to go through.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's where the belief part has to come in who's leading you.
Yeah.
Because if you don't know who's leading you, you'll blame the spouse or the girlfriend or the boyfriend, and you'll say, it's my wife's fault. It's my husband's fault. It's my ex-husband's fault. It's my ex-wife's fault. It's my ex-girlfriend's fault. It's my ex-boyfriend's fault. It's like, or my boyfriend's. It's like, it's got nothing to do with any of that. It's nothing to do with any of that. I asked for what I asked for. I asked for a consciously run business, and I asked for honesty and integrity, and I asked for, the biggest and the best and the brightest. So I have to go through the position to go as far down to the bottom as I need to be able to have the energy to come back up to the top.
Yeah.
Because that's what I asked for. Now, it may not make sense to anybody else, which is the problem if you don't have the leadership that comes from the Creator.
Yeah.
Because then somebody's going to say, well, I didn't sign up for that. well, shit, me neither. I'm signed up for that. Like, but I asked for this, so it's like, I asked for it, so I have to know it. This is what I asked for. I'm getting what I asked for. I think people just have a different way of looking at it. So yes, so I was left on the side of the road. I was left.
I had the car, I had the dogs. I called my parents, and I was like, I can't do this. And they were like, okay, well, you and Jade, which is one of our 2 dogs, can come. Jade was the first dog that I ever got, so my parents know her. And they would not accept Onyx. They would not accept our second dog, Onyx. They would not accept you. And I agreed to it. And I remember coming back to the car, bawling my eyes out, like, I'm so sorry. Like, I can't even take Onyx. I just felt like so weak in that relationship. And I remember you were like, please take him. Like, you have to take him. And I was like, all right. So I remember like leaving with myself, our 2 dogs, and basically every little bit of belonging that we had other than what you stuffed into a suitcase.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just, I remember bawling the first half hour of my drive. I was so emotional, and it was really hard, and it's still sometimes difficult to face when you bring up like things that you went through during that time.
Sure.
Where, you were sleeping on a park bench many nights, had no warmth, had no water a lot of the times. You didn't have a lot of things, and I was in this limbo land of, what do I do? Like, that's my partner, but I'm just not. I had no. I think ultimately what I wanted to break free from was the ditch that we dug ourselves into.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, honestly, in hindsight, it worked out in the way that it did, but it actually forced me to bring things up to my parents.
Yeah.
About the history between the 4 of us.
Yeah.
And how they were so judgmental towards you and spiteful towards you, because ultimately they felt threatened by your confidence in your visionary mind, and they didn't trust you. They didn't want me, supporting you throughout your basketball career. They did not like you.
Yeah.
They did not like my dad. Literally threatened to shoot him. And it was so horrible. We were in his mom's place at the time. I was visiting for the first time, meeting his mom, and my dad threatens to kill my partner with a gun. And, but it forced me, being back in their home, it forced me to finally stand up to them.
Yeah.
And ask them some really brutal questions. Like, if you have a grandchild from us, how are you going to handle that? What are you going to do? Because, like, this would be the father of your grandchild. Are you going to be hateful towards your grandchild because of the color of their skin and who their dad is? And I could tell that really shook up my dad. Especially, like, oh, I gotta think about how I'm being, because, like, ultimately I think my parents just naturally love whoever's like an immediate extension of them. But I think that they, I did bring up the fact, like, you are not capable of handling the responsibility of being grandparents to biracial grandchildren or a biracial grandchild. And that, I told them honestly, was the reason why I have not allowed myself to become a mom yet.
I don't look at it from, because again, I think that I think I told you the other day, that power comes in restraint. So I don't threaten. The only time I remember even raising my voice with your parents in general was that I was homeless at this time. She was at her parents' house. And I believe this is when you were telling your father about you being a chef and you going on your own way, which is the whole reason why she left in the first place. In case you didn't get to that part, but that's the whole reason why, is because I was telling her, hey, you have this. Your value is this. It's not this. It's not what everyone's claiming. It's this. You are this person that does this thing. And I think all I remember was his comments was something along the lines of, you've never done this before, you don't have a certification, or when I heard the word, I think I heard the word certification or something.
No, chef school. Like you never went to culinary school.
School, yes. You never went to culinary school. And I was like, put him on the phone. And I just tore his ass up. Because I cannot stand when people stop somebody else's dreams because they stopped their own. So you're not going to say that this person cannot do this, because first of all, there is no plan at this time. There did not in existence. There was no plant-based, whole raw food, bioelectric culinary school. Where's she gonna go? Tell me where's she gonna go, and what does it matter to you? And that's where I just started to I'm like, listen, that to me is less than a man, because a man has to pour into his child and say, you can do whatever you want to do, however you want to do it, but you got to be strong enough to believe it by yourself. And that's where I said, no, you don't believe anything by yourself. You have to go along to get along. You're that type of person. You're putting that projection onto somebody else. And that's where that also tears up relationships, because if you have a subconscious program that says, I have to go along and get along, then you're going to be in traffic while your partner's going to be creating a street to go towards the dream. And you're driving in traffic. And the partner's like, come on with me on my side. And it's like, no, this is the right way because everybody else is doing it. And it's like, no, that's obviously not the right way if everybody else is doing it. The right way is for you to go get a bulldozer and clear some of this brush out and go make your own street to your own dreams and goals. That's not the right way. And that's where I started to look at, I'm taking notes as I'm seeing all this. I held no judgment or any regret towards that, because I prayed all about it the entire time. And I said, okay, I asked God for this. You're literally giving me this. So, I'm like, I asked you for a harmonious relationship and health and wealth and the great business and all this stuff, and you're literally
giving me shit.
Yeah, I'm literally I'm on the side of it. This is how crazy. I'm on the side of my business office on a park bench at a Starbucks, sleeping next to my business office. I have LLCs in this business office, and I don't have a place to stay at this moment in time. And I was like, this is so stupid. Why am I doing this?
Yeah.
But you don't hold any regret or any judgment. You just say, okay, fine. If this is how you want me to do it, I mean, I'm going to do it. But look, like, if I got to go through anything else, hey, I don't know, because you really messing with me right now, but it just tells you, if you can have some restraint, you can then go on the opposite side of all this and still have a healthy, happy, and harmonious relationship. And what I really believe is that when you get all these things to come back into your bloodstream from detoxification, you have to go through it, because now it's coming into your head. So now you're going to be creating chaos and crap.
Yeah.
And you just got to make sure you clean it out. It's going to hurt, but hey, you'll have these times where it's going to hurt. But that's okay. If you know what unconditional love is, you don't have any judgment based on how these things are supposed to happen. So that's how I looked at it. And I still look at it like that today. I don't have any, I told you that your parents don't care for me based on when you go into their house, there's not a picture image of me in their house. They don't have me on any wall, on anything. My mom calls me to tell me to send her picture images of myself, Andrea, and the dogs for the holidays, so she can go and put them inside of her classroom. When you walk into my mom's house, there is a picture of us two right where you walk in on the side, on her side table. She has a picture of us on her desk, and she has a picture of us and the dogs together, and she sends me the Bitmojis with the dogs in it, with ears and stuff on it, like rabbit ears. So clearly, if you see one side is on this end of harmony and connection, and the other side doesn't talk about it.
Yeah.
And you don't have anything to do except be loving and show the example of how you're supposed to behave.
Yeah.
You can't get mad at somebody for not knowing because they probably weren't taught that.
Yeah, and I was really angry at them for a long time, but I was more angry at myself for not being more protective and more transparent and more
sure
supportive of you and our relationship, and not fighting for something I really cared about.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and it's so, yeah, it is really relevant and important that, and that can break a relationship.
100%.
Like 1,000%.
1,000%. Yeah. Of
course. One of the things that I always believed was that if you just, and granted, like I almost gave up, and I'm glad that I didn't, but was imagining a future where there is harmony.
Yeah, you have to create everything twice. So, most people have been following me for a little while. I always talk about inverse transformation. I always talk about there is no deja vu or anything. It's nothing like that. When you close your eyes, you create it first. So you have to have it finished in order to have it finished in this 3D world. And so if it's not finished inside your head when your eyes are closed, you can't finish it when your eyes are open. It doesn't make sense. So if I can see myself in a harmonious place and space, well, I always tell you, I say, I'm attempting to imagine this thing where we can have a dynamic where we're here, but I feel like it's blocked. So either you can figure out how to imagine it with me, or we got to figure something else out.
Yeah.
Because this ain't going to work. Because I need to see it right here first so I can create it out here in this field of space.
Yeah.
And, I really do believe in imagination. That's the mind of God within me. So yeah, you have to be able to imagine that. I imagine them, being happy and harmonious with me. I don't have a problem with them.
Yeah.
They may not imagine it the same way, but that's okay. But I'm not going to let them dictate my life, which is for a long time attempted to appease how you were. And I'm not going to fit anybody in because I got to be authentically me.
Yeah.
And if I lose myself, I don't know why you want to be with me either.
Yeah.
You wouldn't want to be with me anyway.
That is so important, is being authentically you in a relationship. Well, always, but in a relationship, it's so important.
Well, most people they forget it. And they forgot how they got into the relationship. So they think they now have to sacrifice themselves. And it's not a 50-50 thing. It's a 100 and 100 thing that you make a 200 thing. So that's another thing, in case you guys don't know that. You do not come into a situation and attempt to sacrifice, or you're going to hate yourself. So don't do that. You come into your situation and you say, I'm 100% authentically me. This is what I do. This is how I am. This is how I speak. This is where I go. This is what I do. I read. I research. I create. I imagine. I'm disciplined. I like to do things this way. Okay. And if you want to be fun or you want to be joyful or enthusiastic, whatever you want to do. But just know that you can't stop somebody from doing what they do authentically, or you're going to hinder them.
Yeah.
So that's where you get the problems, because you'll have a man that wants to control his partner, the woman, and a woman wants to control her partner, the man. And you don't need to do that. You just ask God to accept anything that everyone's bringing to the table.
Yeah.
And then you can now create from then. I have strengths, you can use mine. You have strengths, I can use yours. My weaknesses, you can fill them in until I learn how to deal with them. Your weaknesses, this is same thing on your end. It has to make sense. I believe it has to make sense. And you don't quit before you get the opportunity to show up for that person in that way.
Yeah.
I don't believe in just quitting. I think that's the only time of failure. Failure isn't failure at all. You don't fail. You might miss a shot. You better keep shooting until you make it. You can't keep doing that. You got to just keep shooting until you make it. So you keep trying, you keep going, but you can't stop. Once you quit, then that's failure. So quitting is failure. So that's why I don't believe in quitting.
Yeah. And another dynamic that we've learned to be just as crucial and important to the influence that our parents can have on us directly and in our relationship, but also friendships. So let me ask you this question.
Okay.
Should you consult each other on friends you have in relationships?
100%. I believe that 100%. I do not have, I have a relationship and a partnership. I don't go out on most days at all. I don't really do anything with people who would not qualify for me to bring around my family. I just don't. It's not that I need to have a police force or I need to have someone has to have a stamp of approval. It's not like that. I just know based on energy. We speak energy. So if I bring somebody into my energetic field and their energy is not good from myself or from my dogs, from my partner, it's my responsibility. I'm accountable for who I bring in. So I have to know that this person that I'm bringing in around me believes 100% in doing things the right way. Even when it doesn't seem like you're supposed to, you still do it. They don't have a bad influence, right? They have a visionary mind and to fix something. They're out for solutions to people's problems, and they're here for service. If they're not here for those things, creation, connection, and contribution, I don't know why you around me. You don't want to be around me because I'm a waste of time towards you. So if I don't come tell you, hey, I met such and such, this is what they're about. Well, how many times we've gone to places and spaces and I've said, this place, I'm not feeling it because I don't like the energy of this place I'm. And I'm like, I don't want anyone that doesn't have integrity around me because I'll start practicing bad habits. I don't want anything like that.
Yeah.
So I don't need anybody to tell me to have restraint or to not quit. Most people don't have people in their ear that say, keep trying, or tell people, do gratitude every day or something like that. Most people don't have friends like that. So they'll tell you everything that your partner is not doing right. And they'll portray everything that this partner is not doing right because they don't have a relationship, or they're single, or their relationship life sucks, and they don't have any partnership, and they don't have any love in their life because they don't.
Or they think it's great, and it's really not as great as they think.
It's not as great as they think. Yeah, exactly.
Right? Because you mentioned earlier about like we were talking about the roles and things, and there are a lot of women, and we're going through this. We've been going through this feminist era where women are, where the tables have turned quite a bit.
Yeah.
And women want equality to men. Yeah. They want all the same privileges as men. They want to be, independent.
Yeah.
I got my money. I got my bank. I got all this stuff, right?
Yeah.
And they want to basically take on male roles.
Yeah.
Which, years ago, like, the man would go out into the field and work. The woman would stay home and take care of the kids and clean the house. And I mean, it was a much different pace of life because we didn't have all of the technologies back then that made our lives so much more like convenient.
Yeah.
So a lot of things were done by hand.
Yeah.
A lot of things now are done by technology.
Yeah.
So, and women were a huge part of the industrial age and in support of the men going out into war.
They were co-piloting,
and then also once war was over, then it was going out into the field of work. Right, so women started joining the workforce, and I have seen a lot of sexism from men towards women, but I also see it from women towards men. And when people come into a relationship, I see a lot of heads butting.
Yeah.
And it's like, who wears the pants?
Yeah.
Who wears a skirt in this relationship? Yeah. And you do see dynamics where, and we've been in it, where the woman is working and making more money and the breadwinner, and the man is at home with the kids.
Yeah.
And I think that we also allow the opinions of our friends and society to influence our roles and our dynamics in our relationship.
Yeah.
We have found for us that me wearing the pants in the relationship, and I just see this, I think this is just like general blanket across the board, that when you are a woman in a masculine energy, more often than you are in your feminine energy, you are very susceptible to getting cancers, hormonal cancers. You are very susceptible to breaking down and aging very quickly, having menstrual issues, having all types of health issues. But then I see the same for men, where men are like being less in their masculine energy, more in feminine energy, and then they're having the similar types of issues. Jade.
Go lay down, Jade. Go lay down.
Good thing we can edit.
Yeah. Jade. Go lay down. Lay down. Lay down. Okay. Yeah, keep going. I'm listening.
But yeah, so I see where people allow themselves to be influenced by other people's opinions. And I remember having friendships that were not supportive of our relationship. If he doesn't ask you to marry him within the first year, he's never going to marry you, or he's never going to ask you to marry him. Just so many judgments. And I used to not think of it as a big deal, but then I was like, why does every single friend that I take on have an issue with you? I don't get it. Because, you know, and I get it, like, I used to attract some not so great guys, and I was a very, like, easily taken advantage of person in relationships, even friendships. But I never understood it. And one of the things that you brought up to me, I think, was when once I started opening myself up to connecting with people more within the last couple of years, was that I was drawing in people with the same energy
100%.
before. And you were like, look, you didn't consult me. You didn't talk to me. You didn't tell me, hey, this is a friendship that I'm bringing in. Because, like you said earlier about marrying the family, like when you bring a friend into your relationship, that friend is now an extension to your partner.
That's right.
And
that's right.
It can influence your relationship.
That's right.
And I think people don't realize how important it is to protect the sacredness of your union.
That's right.
And so they allow all of these external forces to come in.
That's right.
And you realize you're not actually mad at your partner. You're just mad at the shit you didn't say to the person that said something about your partner. That's a lot of the times I've found personally.
I mean, look, I'm not an advocate for any of that feminist crap. I don't believe in really people are gay. I don't believe in any of that type of stuff. And I'm telling you, because I have personal experience, my first two relationships, both of the women ended up being, I guess you can call it like bisexual or whatever you want to call it.
But they were gay.
Are gay. But I don't believe in it like that. No, I don't. I don't believe in it. And I also don't believe in they're in this. It's all about energy. So if their energy is in an imbalance, especially a hormonal imbalance, I may not know what the cause is. I may not know what any of that stuff is. I don't know unless they tell me. You know, I'm pretty sure everyone is psychic in some way, shape, or form, but still, you can't go through expressing the wrong energy out the entire time. If I'm expressing too much feminist or too much feminine behavior, I must have way too much estrogen in my body at this moment in time, which clearly you can see that the majority of men walking around here have low testosterone, as you can see. That's why this is a thing people have to supplement for, which is ridiculous. You don't have to supplement for that. Just stop eating crap. But we'll get to that in a different video. But, you know, there's too many women, I believe, who've been programmed in this CEO mindset, and then they forgot. I'm not saying that they can't have their own business. I'm saying that it's not all about being the boss of everything. It's not a natural way, because somehow I can't make food. So and I've told you this, if the little one is crying, and they crying because they're probably hungry, and I don't have no way to get them any food, there's nothing I can do. I have to go. Well, all I can do, which is unnatural, is go find something, a bottle, some formula, something, and boil it up and heat the bottle, whatever I got to go do, and then give it to them. I can't make anything I don't have a natural. There's nothing nourishing about that. I can't feed them. I'm a food. I don't know what you want me to do. Like, I can't just go call upon God. God, please give me some food. Like, God can go tell me how to go get some, but it can't just make it inside me and be like, here, here's my thumb. I got some milk in my thumb. It ain't gonna happen like that. Like, I'm not made to do that. I can't do it. So when I start to look at it in there's rules and there's roles that I can do. There's roles that I cannot do. And that's not equal. I'm not equal to my partnership. I am not equal to you in any way, shape, or form if someone's hungry and they need to eat and I don't have any food. I can't do that. And I have to look at it from that perspective and say, once and for all, hey, that's a woman, because she can give the little one some food when the little one is hungry, whenever the little one wants the food. And she has it, right there inside of her. Hey, okay, all right, well, here, look, I'm going to just do this, put the towel right here, whatever, hold you, and then, okay. And then the little one's like, okay, bam, food. There you go. Sit right there. I don't have that. And I think people take it for granted. Men take it for granted. Now you got people walking around here talking about him and her and hers and they, or whoever they are, or whoever.
You're talking about people that identify as transgender.
Yeah. And it's like, no, I don't know. No, you don't need to alter anything that God did. You need to change your mind up and face whatever you didn't want to face. As soon as you face it, you're gonna you'll have the flow that's natural again, and you'll like what you are naturally inherently supposed to like. I just believe people just don't go, they don't want to face that. And if they just go face it and they face the energy, it's keeping them, look, you can't go to bed at nighttime. There's no way for you to go to sleep at night knowing that you're purposely doing the wrong thing. I just don't believe you can go to bed with peace and harmony in your mind, knowing that you're not doing the right thing. You're not going the right way. And when I see this feminism stuff, you should look like being able to express your sexuality is great. Being able to express whom you really are is excellent. And I think men, it's like they have all these words, these toxic masculine words, or toxic feminine, just say being this way is not good and being this way is not good. There's no way you can tell me that that's healthy. Mm-hmm. We walking through West Hollywood. Remember, I'm pointing out this gentleman. We're sprinting uphill. We're literally working out that day. We're sprinting up the hill. Remember we sprint up the hill? And I'm like, look at this group of gentlemen all swole up. They got all the muscles out and everything. And they got the same outfit on that you wear. And I'm like, look at all of them trying to be like you. I'm looking, I'm like, how disgrace. They're all trying to be like you. They all went up in the store. They was like, talking crazy with their friends or whoever they were with. And they went to try to pick up all the clothes that you would wear. Why? I'm not going to the store to go pick out what you wear. I'm not doing that. And I hope you're not going to go get no baggy pants and, and a hoodie, to go look like me.
There are a lot of women that do.
I'm saying, you don't have to do that. There's no, you can play a role. And I'm not saying that it has to be where, okay, this can't be a feminine thing. You can make it a feminine thing. I'm sure you can. But you understand how the energy is expressed. Yeah. There's too many women walking around with their fists balled up like they want to fight. Yeah. Fight who? Who are you trying to fight? You need to fight yourself because you ain't mad at me. I ain't doing anything to you. You just mad at yourself because you didn't show up for yourself. You was mad. You was walking around, you had your hair cut, low haircut. You had your fist balled up all the time, your chest out, walking around crazy,
Yeah, I shaved my head.
Yeah.
And, I mean, it was not to be, like, a boy or anything like that. It was, like, I wanted, like, I hated my hair. I hated everything that I attached to it. I hated so much, and I just wanted, like, I honestly had massive insecurities. And I remember there was a time where I was losing a lot of hair, and I was, like, so insecure about it. So it was all around insecurity of my beauty.
Yeah.
And so when I shaved my head, it was like, well, can I still love myself through this? And whether you enjoy it or not. But I did. Yeah, I mean, I looked just like my brothers. So of course, like, I did start to take on this self-image of being very tomboy. And I was raised the way that I grew up as a kid, and I don't remember if I actually shared that with you, is I was very tomboyish.
Yeah.
I would dress in my brother's clothes. I would dress like my brothers. Like, being girly was really uncomfortable for me. I wanted to wrestle with the boys and all that kind of stuff. And look, I can still handle myself. But and being girly was really uncomfortable, And I don't think being feminine necessarily means that you have to look a certain way or dress a certain way, but it's the way that you use your energy.
Correct.
And I see relationships where the partners are, like, butting heads because they're trying to express different energy than what's natural to them.
Yeah.
And it's causing conflict.
I think there's too many men that don't stand up for themselves in a relationship.
Yeah.
They don't stand up to their partnership. Look, you gotta stop getting your ass kicked. If your girlfriend or your wife says something, you're not in alignment with it, speak up for yourself. You don't have to do the happy wife stuff. She doesn't have to do the happy husband stuff. It's just supposed to be happy spouse and happy house. But both of y'all supposed to be happy, not just one side or the other side. So I don't surrender because I have to do whatever she wants me to do. That's the stupidest thing for me to do, period. How's she going to learn? If I know more than her, how is she going to learn anything from me? If I can't stand up for myself, tell her this is wrong. Same thing on her end. If I told her all the time, I don't go into the kitchen because you're a chef. I'm not asking. Look, I'll ask you for some tips and everything. If you tell me what to do, I'm not gonna argue with you because you know what you're doing. You got all the expertise when it comes to nourishment of the dogs, of me, of anyone else. You served multiple people throughout this entire 2.5 year span. I'm not gonna say anything. Now, if it comes to anything where it comes to fitness, or it comes to training, or it comes to research, or study, or investing, or herbs, or formula, don't come at me with no crazy shit. I don't want to hear all that stuff. Because I'm sitting up in here for hours on end, and I'm putting the research in, and I'm putting the work in to be the expert. And I know I'm the expert. I don't have to ask somebody to confirm if I'm the expert, if that makes sense. So I think most people just don't look at it from that perspective. They just go about laying down, and they say, well, I have to surrender, right? And it's like, yeah, you have to surrender to the creator, though, not to the person. It's not just the person itself, it's just the creator. If that person does not have the creator inside of them, you should be able to feel that. And not surrender to that person. You don't do that. If that person doesn't know where they're going, if that makes sense. I write down my everything. It's charted down. I need a calendar. I need my daily goals every day. I need to have a vision. I need to wake up with the purpose. I need to do everything in order because I have something to do. And I have to know that discipline gets me the thing. Yeah. So if your partner doesn't have discipline, especially men, if you don't have discipline, you're losing out on life. You need to figure out what you want to do. And women, if your man does not have discipline, go find a new man or help him get some discipline because you're going to go to a ditch. I'm just, that's in my opinion.
Yeah.
In my opinion, some people can say otherwise, but I believe if they don't have restraint, if they're reactionary, stoicism for men is good. I think they're supposed to be, rooted into something and grounded into something, into what they believe in. And if they know what they're grounded in and they know what they're believing is right, then you should be in good hands. We talk about relationship. We say if a person is better after meeting you or upon being with you, that's probably a better relationship. So if you had transformations, so say you have these habits beforehand, you meet this person, they don't have these habits anymore. That person is obviously a benefit towards your life. See what I'm saying? So I think most people just don't look at it from that perspective. That's why I think you have so many problems in headbutting. I know where I'm going. Do you want to come or not? That's my pitch to any woman that comes out. I already got one. She said she wants to come, so she's already here. But if I did not go out to say, I know where I'm going, do you want to come or not? Well, I'm not guessing to figure it out. I don't have to ask. I asked God, why am I here? Like, I asked it a long time ago. So if you want to come along for the ride, come with me. If not, you're gonna have to go somewhere else. But that's it. That's how I look at it from that perspective.
So in the crisis of disharmony in relationships, what do you think the solution is to creating harmony?
Cleansing. I think 100% it's detoxification, and it's getting to an understanding of natural laws of nature. And if you can teach the natural laws of nature and get into a cleansing perspective where now you can reset yourself based on your cellular structure, not from look, I'm not talking, when I say cleansing, I'm talking about your cells, the community of cells, the energy inside of you. If you can cleanse those cells out, now you have a blank page that you can now rewrite something on, a new DNA code structure, and that's going to benefit you dramatically. Once you can do that, now you can have a brand new process that you can now go through with this person, because you can't change your vantage point on yourself or the person whom you're with if you can't reset your cellular structure. You have to be able to do that. And okay, you can attest to that. If you were going through, you've been with me for 11 years. So, not until you changed it, maybe the last 2, because of cleansing. You had a certain way of belief, certain pattern of thinking. So what about the other 9? Well, they were the same person the entire time until you decided to go in and mix it up and clean that area up and those memories and those thoughts out and those ways of thinking and behaviors.
Yeah.
How are you going to see me any different? If that makes sense. So my first thing that you should do is you have to be able to get grounded in yourself and this forgiveness part. But I do believe cleansing starts the process. You cleanse yourself, whether it's an all fruit diet, whether it's just a water fast or something. That you stop taking in information that's bad, and that's it's pretty much all the processed foods and things that you stop taking in. Your habit base. Don't go to Starbucks. Don't get no coffee. Don't go get no teas. Don't get nothing. Just stop what you're taking in. Take in the most healthiest thing possible. Raise your energy up enough that now you can get into a meditative place and get into an outer body place and start to see yourself from outside yourself. And then you can start to see how you really behave. Then I believe that will change everything. And you start the process of changing everything. And then you can do the rest of it on your own, But I really believe in that. It's just, it has to be a cleansing process because people have too many generational patterns and they don't cancel them out. They think that they've served them, but they haven't. They're just patterns. You can always change the patterns if they're not good. And I think that's where reprogramming starts. Subconsciously reprogramming yourself is the biggest thing. So yeah, that's it. Cleansing. That's my number one answer. Cleansing.
Yeah. So essentially stop taking in all of the input and expelling all of the stuff that needs to come out so you can align to your authenticity. Yes,
you change your friends. You change people whom you're around. Look, you're not going to want to be bad forever. I'm telling you. You're going to change your music.
Bad, like bad.
Yeah, like bad, like like you'll be beautiful, I'm sure, but as far as being negative and just doing things that aren't serving you, that's no, you're not going to want to do that forever. You're not going to do that forever because you won't last very long doing it like that. Having this having an acidic lifestyle, you won't last very long doing that.
Yeah,
you won't last very long. So it just makes sense to clean yourself up and do it a better way.
Yeah,
in my opinion.
I agree, and I'm honestly grateful that I got to embark on this lifestyle journey with you because it's helped me awaken to me.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say that. I would definitely say that I started to embark on the journey ahead of time, but I think you helped me really open up, like crack open really wide, like cracking open your legs. But seriously though, it's so important. One of the things that was so important for me was having a partner that took health like a religion.
Yeah.
Because I was on that journey and I wanted my kids to be healthy. I didn't want to pass on all of these genetic issues that I had. I didn't want them to suffer like I did.
Yeah.
And I think that showed up with just starting with how I was, raising Jade and making sure that she was healthy.
Yeah.
But I think what you did was like you took that to like the 10th level.
Yeah.
And I think that when women can understand their role in a relationship and they can honor their authenticity as a woman.
Yeah.
And when we talk about like masculine and feminine energy, you kind of hit on it a little bit, but it's literally, if you want to talk about it in scientific terms, it's your hormones.
Yeah.
Right? Like women's hormones fluctuate, right? But we always have estrogen. Like
yeah.
And men just always have high amounts of testosterone.
Yeah.
So when you just embrace who you really are, and you can understand that the rules are there for a reason. And we were just talking about this before, starting this segment was we have two dogs.
Yeah.
Right? One is a boy, one is male, and one is female.
Yeah.
And they always yield to each other.
That's right.
Without any complaints.
That's right.
Without any backlash.
That's right.
Without anything. And you can feel the feminine energy from the female, and you can feel the masculine energy from the male.
Yep.
Male is Onyx, and female is Jade.
Yep.
And they just have this very symbiotic, synergistic relationship that has no questions.
That's right.
It's just they innately and intuitively and instinctually understand and know who they are and who they are independently and who they are together.
That's right. Yeah.
And I think if humans could just get on that level, it would make life so much easier and simpler.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And I think about it like as I was talking about growing up as a very tomboyish kid, I actually realized how feminine I really am.
Yeah.
And how easy it is.
It's pretty easy.
It is
pretty natural.
It's so easy.
Yeah, it's pretty natural. It's pretty easy. I'm pretty masculine. I don't have to do much at all. I do some push-ups. I get some muscles. It comes really quickly. I don't have to do.
So does mine, but
well, yeah, true. But no, it's just I don't have to do anything really. It's already programmed within me. I think it's programmed within all men and within all women. I think their minds are just so distant and disconnected, and chemically, They don't understand chemically that it's altering their psychological preference in life. And I think that's what is messing with people at this moment in time. You're programmed to be gay, in my opinion. You're programmed to be bisexual or transgender. You're programmed to do that. That's not some natural inclination that the creator is telling you to go do. That's something that society is telling you to go do. And it's also something that chemically you're not giving your body what it needs, and that's why it's delusional almost in a negative way. And it's causing you to go do those things. That's what I believe. People can say whatever they want. I don't care. I'm telling you this is what I believe because I'm reading it and I'm seeing the research that says 1990, the amount of gay people is not the amount of gay people in 2024. And I'm like, okay, so what's going on? Well, go walk outside and look at the billboards. Go walk outside and listen to the music that you hear coming from the cars. It's ridiculous. It's garbage. Everything that I'm seeing is trash. Not only the food that people are eating, what they're consuming is trash. What they're listening to is garbage. And it's not doing their mind any favors.
Well, yeah, then the energy they're taking in from other people.
And then that entanglement.
Sex.
Yeah. Yes.
Entanglement.
Like, it's very powerful, yeah.
Yeah. When we were taught as kids that, you know, don't just have sex with everybody.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But it's there for a reason. It is like, I originally took it from like a religious perspective, but and then I was very promiscuous and I was very sexually curious. And I don't regret like my experiences. I do honor the sacredness of genuine energy between two people, and like you really have to be protective of your energy 100%. And the energy you allow yourself 100%. To penetrate, or you allow to penetrate you.
100%. I did a video on this, so you guys can check out my video. I believe I just talking about sexual alchemy. I do have a video on that. You should watch my video on that because that's a really good video, by the way. But yeah, keep going. I'm listening. It's great. Yeah.
So I think we've come down to the conclusion that the solving the disharmony crisis in relationships is distilling down to your authenticity.
Yeah.
100%.
That's the highest form of vibration anyway. Way past gratitude, way past unconditional love. It's just authenticity, which I believe is unconditional love. Because if I'm authentic, that means I love myself enough to express myself outwardly the way the Creator told me to do it. That's how I look at it. That's what I believe authenticity is. I'm expressing myself the way the Creator made me and told me to do it. Why wouldn't I do it? Only because of fear from the outside. So if you have fear from the outside, you're not authentic. If you have no fear from the outside and you do whatever you want to do, you say whatever you want to say, how you want to say it. You're not driven by, distraction. Sex can be a distraction. Drugs can be a distraction. All types of things can be distractions. Money in a bad way, used for wrong things. Bad intentions can be distractions. Whatever it is, that stuff can be a distraction to you being able to do things the right way, and then you become not authentic anymore. So when you have authenticity in a relationship, you have your 100%. The other person has their 100%, and then bam, that's how you have it. I don't believe in all the all that stuff. I don't believe in any of that stuff. I don't think that you need to have so much entanglement, and my brain's going to be split between 2 people, 3 people, 4. It just doesn't make sense. It's just too much. So I'm saying if you have one pathway, it didn't say positive, negative, positive, negative. It doesn't say that. It just says positive and negative. It only gave me 2 sides. It gave me 2 hands, positive, negative, 2 ears, positive, negative. It gave me 2 nostrils in my nose, positive, negative, 2 feet, 2 knees. I have 2 elbows. I have 2, so I can see both sides of the spectrum. It didn't give me 3. I'm not the octopus man walking around with a couple legs and feet. It's not like that. It just gave me 2 sides, so I can see one side and the opposite side. And when people express their opposite side too much, you now start to see there's chaos and there's disorder inside somebody's body and mind.
I agree.
There you go.
Congratulations on our first podcast episode.
First podcast episode. We got more to come.
Many more to come. So if you resonated with this video, like, subscribe to our channel, share. What else do we want people to do? Follow us.
I'm on TikTok, Alkalign Lifestyle Guru on TikTok. Look me up. Pretty much. Let's see, Alkalign Cafe.
No.
You can find.
Changed it. Rebranded.
Rebranded. The Alkalign Lifestyle Chef.
The Alkalign Lifestyle Chef on IG. You can see all my yummy photos there. And then, thank you, dear.
Until next time.
Thank you for tuning into an insightful episode of the Alkalign Lifestyle podcast. We hope you found today's discussion enlightening and empowering as you continue on your journey towards a healthier and more balanced lifestyle. Remember, small changes can lead to significant transformations in your well-being. Stay tuned for more expert insights and practical tips on living the alkalign way.